that most of us here are high schoolers, and I would like to start off with a question that is probably often on many of your minds. Have you ever liked someone? Yeah? Yeah, so I may not be up here to talk about my telepathic abilities, but I do know that each and every one of you should be responding yes to that question right now. And speaking of my telepathic abilities, I also know that most of you have never sat down and actually listened to classical music before. So, it, listening is different than hearing, and to quote composer Igor Stravinsky, to listen is an effort and just to hear is no merit. And then he goes on talking about ducks or something like that. He was an incredibly odd man. But going off of this original thought, in order to truly appreciate this wonderful form of art, we have to learn to listen. This can be achieved in two main ways. One way, which will take you decades before you make any progress at all, and another way, which you can begin to master today. I am going to focus on teaching you to learn to listen. The several decades long way involves sitting and hearing classical music every day of your life until one day you have an epiphany and come to realize that you could have understood what that music was all about had you actually listened in the first place. So, going back to this original thought, I want you to picture this person of significance in your mind. Think about their eyes, their smile, their laugh, their voice, anything about this person that really stuck with you. Close your eyes if you would like, and listen to this piece of music entitled Salut d'amour by Edward Elgar. What I am seeing is truly amazing. I see a large audience of people, mostly high schoolers, all sitting, listening, and really understanding classical music, and that is pretty amazing. So, this piece of music is called Salut d'amour, as I said, by Edward Elgar. The title means greeting of love in French, and it was written in 1888 by Elgar as an engagement gift for his fiancée, so pretty romantic. This piece of music was written for violin and piano with the melodic line in the violin. It is undeniably gorgeous and is very, very easy for us as listeners to follow. Elgar was a pioneer of a genre of music we call light classical music, which was produced mostly by English composers of the late 19th centuries and into the 20th centuries. Light classical music is the instrumental equivalent to what we know as easy listening music, with the melodies being clearly defined and somewhat repetitive. So these pieces are generally short. We heard an excerpt of this piece, but it's about 3 minutes long in total. So these pieces are generally short, but despite this, they tend to be packed full of emotion and are very, very good for beginner classical music aficionados. Knowing this, being able to listen is an incredibly important skill to have. Light classical music like this is full of emotion, as we know, and it helps us to know that we are not alone in everything that we feel, because we know that we are not alone in what we are feeling. So knowing this, it might be clear to you now that you wouldn't even have to be thinking of a romantic interest in order to feel all that Elgar intended that we feel. Maybe somebody close to you has passed away and you hear this piece of music as an homage to them. So however you choose to interpret this piece, as a lament, a declaration of love, or even something else, what's really important is that you were truly listening to this music and had a way that you could connect to it. So that right there is the key of learning to listen. Being able to find an idea or a story in a piece of music and then connecting it to an event or an emotion in your own life is what makes classical music, and all music for that matter, so incredibly powerful. And I don't think that this thought should be restricted to classical music. In today's society, we often hold so close to our beliefs that we fail to listen to others. We are so conditioned to see our opinions as correct and all of others as wrong that we forget that diversity of ideas is what keeps our world interesting. if I am not able to force you to agree with the ideas of everyone else, and even if I could, what kind of world would that lead to? Everyone would be agreeing with everyone else, and no important decisions could ever be made. What I can ask you to do, however, is to listen. Thank you.